May 21st, and it is 1:33 p.m. Call to order. So we have a roll call. Carolyn Kidd, Chair. Sandra Darling. Manny Hernandez.
He's not here. He did send me an email though, so his may
Okay.
be excused. And I think someone else may have just joined. So that may be Sandra.
Selena Martinez. Mandy Martinez Gebler.
Here.
Mindy Resenberg.
Here.
Angelica Sanchez.
Present.
Right. Okay. Did Manny Hernandez join us? I can't see.
No, he did not, and he is not going to be joining us today.
Oh, okay. Oh, we'll miss Man. We'll miss him. Okay. So do we have a quorum?
We do.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So welcome again. So we go to mission statement and land acknowledgement. Our mission statement is a commission to foster support, respect, awareness, and appreciation of diversity among all citizens of Flagstaff. Mindy, Commissioner Resenberg, do you mind reading our land acknowledgement?
Yes, I will do so.
All right.
The Commission on Diversity Awareness humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Thank you so much. All right, upcoming opportunities and announcements. Commissioners, no upcoming opportunities and announcements. Okay, so let's move to item number 5. So public comment. So the commission cannot act upon items presented during the public participation portion of the agenda. Individual commission members may ask questions of the public, but are prohibited by the open meeting law from discussion or considering the item among themselves until the item is officially placed on the agenda. Each public comment or presentation will be limited to 5 minutes. Do we have any public comment today?
DJ.
I heard something. Did I?
Yes, DJ does.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, my name is DJ. I'm calling in today to the diversity meeting. Reason is I just wanted to speak briefly on what I think diversity actually is. When I think about diversity, I think of a very simple sentence. It's just that you don't understand something. And that's about as far as diversity goes. You just don't understand something. So if people respect diversity, you just when I walk by, you just don't understand something about me. And that's as far as it goes. It doesn't mean you're entitled to understand something about me. It doesn't mean that I have to do anything for you. It doesn't mean that I owe you anything. It just means that you just don't understand something about me, and that's as far as it goes. That's what diversity really, in a nutshell, really looks like. And if I'm somebody that just argues and argues and argues and argues and argues that people just don't understand something about me, well, that's the other side of diversity that doesn't really make much sense. So the reason why I mentioned diversity in the sense that you just don't understand something, and that's as far as it goes, it gives me the freedom to walk around and just kind of be myself, and I don't have to explain anything to anybody. I don't owe anybody an explanation. I don't have to explain anything, nada. And what's so great about that definition of diversity is it also plays into, it plays into how the nation's founders framed our world here. If somebody wants to give me a problem because they don't understand something about me on that other side of the coin, like I mentioned, they don't get to understand something about me. And that's how far it goes. If they just don't understand something about me and they wrongfully convict me, for instance, and they start prosecuting because they just need to understand something about me, well, then diversity is then injured. And then I'm somebody that is diverse who's been injured because somebody just didn't understand something. Does that make sense? I hope everybody's following me here. So it's about somebody not understanding something. But if they go too far and they just don't understand something and they injure me, well, then I've been wrongfully convicted and diversity has been injured. So again, it's just about how great this nation is. One of the things that's great about this is just how the systems work. I don't have to prove my innocence to anybody. In order to be convicted, or in order to be prosecuted in this country, we have to be proven guilty. We're innocent until proven guilty, which means they just don't understand something.
Mr.
Right?
DJ,
They just don't.
Mr.
Does that make
DJ,
sense?
thank you so much. But you are
Excellent.
time right now. Thank you so much for your contribution. Have a nice
Wonderful
day.
day.
All right, so let's move on. Do we have anybody else for public comment? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to approval of minutes. So we have the minutes of 4/16/2025. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at the minutes? All right. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of 4/16/2025?
I did want to flag just a real small quick typo.
Go ahead.
Under item, pulling it up really quick, C, updates from the working groups. It says trying to get multilingual reading programs back in their library. And I think maybe it was meant to be the library.
Great, thank you.
I can fix that. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, may I have a motion with the correction?
Commissioner Sanchez here, and I motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Commissioner Gebler, and I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, aye. Say aye.
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 Or raise your hand or thumbs up. Any nays? The ayes have it. So we approved the minutes of 4/16/2025. Thank you. All right, number 7, action items. Proclamations. I see we do have a proclamation that was sent, a draft for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and two-spirit plus LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at that? And do you have any edits, suggestions, or comments?
If you would like, I'm happy to put it on the screen too, so we can all be looking at the same document. But
Oh, great.
Yeah, let me get that for us all.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, commissioners. If you have anything to add, edit, let us know. So the only question I have or comment is on your the third sentence where you have LGBTQIA2S plus. It's different coming down to the bottom when you have LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Should it be consistent there? That was my only observation.
We could try to make that consistent language if you would like there.
Yeah,
I
I
just
feel
need
if we
direction from the
say,
commission on
yeah,
which one you want to go with.
yeah, I feel if we said the whole thing up on the top, and you know this is a trend. The second paragraph has it, the third paragraph, and the fourth. Let's go ahead and be consistent and end it like that too. LGBTQIA2S plus Pride Month. Commissioner Darling, go ahead.
Sorry to be picky,
Not at all.
but I'm not sure I understand the opening of the second paragraph. It says the city has fought and will continue to fight to make possibilities of this community real for every resident and increase. But the fighting for the possibilities, I don't know what that sentence, the intent behind that sentence is.
I think it seems to be more like it means opportunities would be my understanding of that, the way that that's worded. But if anybody else wants to give their take on it, that's how I would perceive it.
Yeah, I think Councilwoman House said the same thing. Opportunities or potential. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
just note
so
that
maybe
all of
not.
this language was taken from last year's proclamation. So this is not new
Okay.
language that I drafted or anything. It
Right,
comes from
right.
what we've done in the past. And that doesn't mean we should necessarily keep doing it, but that's just where it comes from.
So Commissioner Darling, what do you think we should put there? We'll continue to fight for opportunities.
I think opportunities is certainly clear, to make opportunities for the LGBTQIA2 spirit community, real. Definitely has a nicer flow. And I think it says something very different, you know?
Yeah, agreed. Anybody else has anything else to add there? So if we could change, Chris, if we can update that to opportunities for.
Yeah, you got it.
Good. And anything else lower down? And just my change at the bottom. All right. Okay, so
Sorry, Chair Kidd.
go ahead.
I
No, go ahead.
apologize.
Go ahead.
I'm just reading that first part of that sentence again myself, and I think it might become a fragmented thought, or not finish the thought, because it's going to say, whereas the city of Flagstaff has fought and will continue to fight to make opportunities for the LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus community real for every resident and increase the visibility, awareness, dignity, and equality. And that's it. I think it meant to say increase the visibility, awareness, dignity, and equality of the community.
Oh. Oh, I see. Okay, like something moved around there.
Maybe more than one sentence. Even.
Sentence. Yeah, I feel something is missing there. Okay.
Yeah, or maybe it could just be take out the word the, so and increase, or maybe say increase their visibility, awareness, dignity, and equality. I don't know, feels whatever feels better there.
Okay. All right. So Chris, if you can go ahead and if you capture all that changes there. Yeah, it did sound a little disjointed there now looking at it closely. Chris, would you like us to send something, email to you, the changes, or are you okay with it? Hello?
Sorry, I was muted there.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry. I was
no,
actually
I'm
reading your
fine.
lips.
I can do the minutes, and I
Okay.
can incorporate all of your directions
Changes it
at the
there.
same time, and that'll be done next week
Okay.
before
That's fine.
before it goes to council.
All right, great. Good. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to the proclamation for Juneteenth.
Certainly, and I'll pull it up right now.
Thank you.
Yep, one too many. Actually, I'll just go to 75 a bit longer. There you are.
All right.
Is
Here,
that legible for everybody? I can make it a little bigger if you'd like.
a little bigger. I have mine here.
See if I can go. Difference.
Great. Okay, commissioners, the floor is open for you to add, edit, or any comments.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Gordon is actually misspelled. Union Major General Gordon Granger. It's Gordon.
Oh, that is.
I've double checked it online.
We'll definitely fix that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, look, Gordon. Gordon, like Jordan. Anybody else after they looked at this? Juneteenth National Independence Day. All right, I don't have anything else. Any other commissioners have stuff, or Councilwoman House?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay. All right, Chris, so we are okay with this one also. So the two
Excellent.
proclamations are done. Thank you so much for all your input. And let's move to item number 8, reports discussion items. So the first one is a presentation from transportation staff on the current projects around Flagstaff. So who do we have joining us today?
Thank you. It looks like today we have Jeff Bowman, Trevor Henry, and Martin Heinz. And I'm not sure which order, if they're sharing all this, but I'll turn it over. It looks like Jeff turned his camera on, so I turn it over to him.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris and commissioners. Hi, I'm Jeff Bowman. I'm the traffic engineer for the city. And as Chris mentioned, I'm joined by Trevor Henry, the capital improvements engineer, and Martin Ince, the multimodal transportation planner. We have about 10 slides or so of some of the bigger transportation projects that are upcoming in Flagstaff. We understand you have some interest in these, as most people do. There's lots going on, lots of cones out there in the street. Between the three of us, we can probably answer most any question you have on projects that you see out there if we don't cover them in our presentation here. So stop us anytime. We're going to take turns bouncing around the projects that we know the best. So if you don't have any questions before we get started, I'll jump right in.
Thank you. We're excited. Go right ahead.
All right. Okay. Let's see. We'll just jump right in. First project that we put on our list is the JWP, or John Wesley Powell Boulevard Extension Project. This is a long thought about connection. It's been in our regional plan for a number of versions, probably more than 20 years. This has been in our long range planning. Back in 2018, when the voters passed Proposition 419, it included funding for the city's portion of this project. So we've been working on this essentially since the funding became available. It's been a couple of years now, but we're getting going on it in earnest now. So let me direct your attention to the map. The yellow section, well, I'll orient you first. So across the top is Butler Avenue, the existing Butler Avenue that runs east-west. And we all know 4th Street goes to the north up and over I-40, and there's that short stub of 4th Street to the south. The John Wesley Powell connection essentially connects 4th Street, lost my cursor, connects 4th Street to the John Wesley Powell Boulevard alignment all the way through the forest across to Pine Canyon, where John Wesley Powell ends today. Long range plans take this road all the way over to the airport, where it ends at Pulliam. But we're not working on that section yet, though it is funded in the 419 program, which runs out to 2040. So sometime between now and 2040, that last piece will be built. But right now we're working on this internal connection. The color coding is important. The yellow section in the bottom is being designed and built by the project called STL 405, State Trust Land 405. That land was purchased recently by Symmetry Development, which is the same company that runs Pine Canyon today. So they're working on the yellow section. The yellow section at the north is being constructed and built by Canyon del Rio. And you'll see that project is well underway, not the John Wesley Powell part, but the roads to the north in Canyon del Rio. And then the city's portion is this red piece in the middle. It's about 4,500 linear feet. It crosses the Rio de Flag. There'll be a fairly significant drainage structure and pedestrian underpass there as it crosses the Rio de Flag. Design is about 15% right now. We're hoping to get design done prior to construction season next year, when you'll start seeing some activity out here along this corridor. It's likely to be built where we're all coordinating, but there potentially could be 3 different contractors working at the same time. We're going to try to coordinate. We will coordinate efforts, but we may not be able to coordinate contractors. So it'll be an interesting project constructed over the next couple of seasons. The total project cost for the whole corridor is roughly $51 million, and you can see the city's share is about 40%, currently estimated at $24 million. And that proportional share, the 40-60, was spelled out in that Proposition 419 ballot language. And is roughly, and the way we came up with that share, 60% share is roughly the number of trips on that road that will occur from the adjacent developments. And the 40% share, the city's share, is how many trips will pass through from the community at large. So that's our first project. If we don't have any questions, I'll bump to the next one. And this is a Trevor project.
So, thanks, Jeff. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Trevor Henry. I'm the capital improvements engineer, and my section, we do have project managers, senior project managers, and project managers, and they deliver a lot of these projects that we're going to be talking about today. And so I have the pleasure of just giving you a high-level update and just providing information. It's a lot of good stuff. I enjoy what I do for the city. So it's also great to come before the commissions and talk about our projects. So this one is the Butler 4th Street Improvement Project. This is near Little America and near Sanawa High School, or Middle School, excuse me. And this is on the just kind of west or south of I-40. And on the picture on the right, the top one kind of shows the limits. So it goes from I-40 down to the very eastern edge, and then there's a little bit on 4th Street, and a little bit on South 4th Street. And then we also include a little section of Harold Ranch Road. So those are basically kind of the limits of the project. And right now, currently today, it's a 2-lane road. And if you look to that bottom picture below, what we're planning to do is take those 2 lanes and we're going to build a median, roughly 15 feet wide. And then we're going to build 2 travel lanes in each direction going out. We're going to have a parkway, which is about 5 feet on either side. And then we're going to put the bike lanes and a sidewalk, kind of a shared path together on both the north and south side. That way we get bicyclists off the street should they want to ride kind of separated from the vehicles. There's that option. But then there's also going to be some bicyclists that want to use the road, and I believe that's fine. That's just what we're providing, a separated bike facility, which will be shared with the pedestrians. So that's kind of what the cross section will look like. And then just kind of going to the scope, it's going to have water, sewer, storm drain improvements, underground, beneath the road, kind of in the adjacent areas. We're also going to have two roundabouts proposed at 4th and Butler. And then we're going to have another one at Harold Ranch Road and Butler. So we'll have 2 there. And we're also going to have a underground foot trail, basically at the intersection of Butler and 4th. That intersection is going to actually raise up about 12 feet so that we can get the drainage underneath. But we're also going to use that as a dual purpose to allow pedestrians to cross beneath the road. So that'll be a shared kind of getting people to get out of the street and allowing them to pass underneath the intersection there. But we will also still have at-grade crossings. So there will be crossings at all the intersections, but we're just providing an underground pedestrian pathway. I did talk about bicycle and pedestrian facilities. Again, those will be in the area, will be completed and built with this project. And earlier, Jeff talked about Prop 419. So Prop 419 was let out around 2018, and that was voted on. It was approved. So basically, it takes the transportation tax, which pays for a lot of the improvements. It was going to end in 2020. So when we did this new proposition, it extended it another 20 years. So from 2020 to 2040, we have additional taxes for transportation projects. So that'll continue on. So when we talk about Prop 419, it's basically the continuation of the tax for transportation. So this project is budgeted at 32.2 million. Again, that's coming from Proposition 419. We're looking at about construction of about 28 million. We do have some federal grants included. So we've been awarded the raised grant. It was earlier this year, around January, that we got notice that we are going to receive approximately 19 million that will go towards construction. And then what we're also going to do here, maybe in a couple weeks, is we are going to submit an application for the Arizona Smart Fund grant in the amount of 3.8 million. So those are some grants that we're working towards. We have one secured. We have one that we're going to make a request for. So we're trying to leverage some of the federal grants with the city's funding, which is Prop 419. And there we have about 9 million that the city has been working on, which includes design and potentially some right-of-way acquisitions should we need it. There's some land and design acquisitions of about 4 million. So all of that put together kind of makes up that 32.2. One item also to mention is Little America has come in and has been talking with city staff. They've been talking to us a little bit about the John Wesley Powell to the south, but we're also talking with them on how this project will look in front of their development. They're at Little America. So we've been talking with them, just trying to make sure we're doing the right project and making sure that we're accommodating to some of the adjacent developments as we move forward. So it's a really great project. enjoyable. I think there's the schedule you can see. We're going to finish design this year and then possibly get into some construction next year and the year following. So a 2-season construction project. So that's kind of a high level for this Butler 4th Street improvement project, and I'll stop if there's any questions.
My only question is, I see you have a schedule down below: design 2025, construction 2026, 2027. Are we close to that schedule, or are we far away from it?
Yeah, so currently right now we are at about 30%. So we got from the initial concept or planning to 30%. I'm going to say around July 1st, and Councilmember House, you might see Phase B come before you around July 1st, which is the rest of the design. And that should get us to the end of the year, maybe even spilling in a little bit to next year, but then we will start construction summer of next year. So that's the schedule. Thank you for the question, though. All right. All right. So this one is going to be mine as well. So this is the Beulah University realignment project. And if everybody can think about Target and over on the west side of town, this is Milton Road. So right now, before we started, University Drive came west, hit Milton Road, and then you have to go a little bit to the north and then take University Avenue and continue on up. So what this project is basically a realignment and an extension. So we took Beulah Boulevard, which ended kind of on the very south, and then we pushed it through. We installed the roundabout, and then it connected into University and Yale in that area. That's the extension. And then the realignment is taking University Avenue and then tying it directly into University Drive at the intersection there. So basically it's a realignment and an extension project. And this project has been in the works for quite a while, a good 20 plus years. And it's been part of what we call the old tax, which was prior to Proposition 419. And then 419 is the extension of the new tax. So this is one of the older projects that were part of that program, and we're just continuing to move it along. We have the roundabout there that provides the circulation for traffic going through there. It also has a pedestrian underpass, which is right kind of near Burger King. If you're looking at the screen at the bottom left of Burger King, there is a pedestrian tunnel that will go underneath and get people from the west side to the east side without having to use the surface crossing at the signal lights. And what we've done in this area, this project, is we've used a lot of coordination. We've talked to the businesses, we've talked to NAU, we've worked with Target, we've worked with all the businesses in the vicinity just to make sure that everything was working well. And we're going to be able to finish this project. The project there is budget is 24 million. And there's just kind of a rundown of what we had to account for land acquisitions, for construction. And then also the other thing we'd like to mention is where it says future development. At some point, a private development will come in. And as we've worked through the process, we were able to get them, the future developments, to contribute to this project. And so to date, they have provided 1.7 million to this project. And then as we get further to completion and working with the developments when they come in, we are going to have to work with them for a final payment. So potentially we could have just under $5 million from any future developments to help supplement some of the city funding. And in there, parentheses, it does say 5 years to pay. So there's a little bit of time. We'll have to work with them. But yeah, that's really good. Again, we're getting some contributions from private developments in the area. And then just real quick on schedule, we started construction almost a year and a half ago. And we've been working through the summer, we worked through the winter, and then now we are going to be complete with this project later this summer. So that project will be complete and done. And it's a great project. It's getting people where we need to go. And then again, a lot of bicycle and pedestrian improvements within the project limits and just helping get people where they need to go. So I'll stop there if there are any questions from the commission.
I just want to say thank you so much for the footpath for under, the underground
Yeah.
footpath, because I think sometimes I think we forget that we do have pedestrians. So thank you so much for considering that.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Jeff, if you can go to the next slide, we have some pictures. So on the very left is what it looked like when we were installing the pedestrian tunnel. So they brought them in sections and they just kind of placed them in as they went, as they made their way across Milton Road from the west to the east. And then in the middle is a picture from November of 2022, and then a picture from last August. And it just kind of shows the progress made in a little under 2 years, but continuing to work on this project. So yeah, some really good stuff, really enjoyable.
Commissioner Sanchez here. No questions, but also I just like to echo Chair Kidd. I love to see the pedestrian stuff, especially with that bus access. I think being able to hop off the bus and quickly get home is super helpful. I use this road a lot, and I have to say I love like how quickly it spits me out into the center of town. And so I really, really appreciate it as somebody who uses it.
Correct. Thank you for the comment. So one other thing to add is on that Beulah Boulevard extension, we are also, there is also some bus stops, some new bus stops that were added that they are going to use. And again, like you had just mentioned, using the bus, it's a great partnership, just making sure we have the accommodations there. All right, thank you.
Trevor, I don't know if you have a date, but you do have a grand opening, ribbon cutting coming up for this one even?
Yeah, that it is. You're right, Jeff. We do have that in the works. We're planning it. We don't have a date set. We have been throwing out some potential dates, but I don't want to maybe give dates right now until we actually solidify and get everybody on board and working towards that actual date. But we are trying to get a ribbon cutting. The ribbon cutting will actually take place between the roundabout and Milton. Right now, that's currently closed off. But once everything is done, everything's paid, but no vehicles, we'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony in there with council and everybody, partners, stakeholders, everybody that's been part of this project.
Keep an eye out for that. Those are always fun.
Yeah.
Okay, next is the Cedar Lockett Fourth Roundabout, and that's one of my projects. This one has also been around for a while. All these projects take a while. We applied for an HSIP grant. Boy, I bet it's been 5 years ago. I'd have to look at a calendar. Around 5 years ago. And HSIP grants are Highway Safety Improvement Program. And that's federal money that gets funneled through ADOT to award and administer these projects. And HSIP, the projects that are awarded through the HSIP program are projects that will reduce or eliminate fatalities and serious injuries. So you have to have a location that unfortunately has a high number of fatal and serious crashes. And then you have to offer a project in your grant that's shown with statistics to reduce those crashes. And then they look at the benefit cost ratio to see if this project is a good idea. So we were awarded again about 5 years ago this grant project, and as with federal and state grants, they do take quite a while to get through the process. So really excited. If you've been through this intersection anytime recently, you'll see that the orange barricades are up and some of the pre-work has already started. I believe it started in March. So we have a contractor on board. We obviously have a design done. And this is a roundabout project. As you can see, we went through a number of public meetings and city council meetings to determine if we do a roundabout or some other alternative. We had one version that had too many roundabouts, which would have been pretty cool, but may have been a little much, as this community doesn't have a lot of roundabouts yet to work through. So it's a roundabout project. One of the missing pieces with the traffic signal today is there's no crosswalk on that east leg, which, see if I get my cursor working, on the east leg here. And so the students tend to cross coming from Sunnyside, going up to these schools to and from, cross at this mid-block crossing down here towards the far end of Mount Eldon Middle School. We're going to leave that crosswalk in place, at least for now, but we are adding this fourth crosswalk to the intersection. So that's a pretty cool improvement just in general. The crossings will tend to have a Z orientation. So that's where you cross half of the street and kind of, we situate the crosswalk so that it turns the pedestrian to look towards oncoming traffic. So you're walking, then you turn and look towards the traffic you're about to cross. So that's what Z crossing means. All of these crossings will have push buttons and yellow flashing beacons, which is a pretty good enhancement, but seemed like a really good idea here next to all of these schools and libraries, the library and all the schools. We've been coordinating with the school district, and Pine Forest Charter School is impacted. We've had some comments because our construction fencing is right up against the Pine Forest School, and a lot of people have thought, oh my gosh, the roundabout's going to be all the way up to the school, but that's just the area that's fenced off so that the contractor can do their work. Once they complete their work, that fence will move back to a normal position, and you can kind of see with the improvements, this purple edge, it's wider than the road today, but not a lot wider. That fence is actually right up against the school here. So that's been a public comment we received from a couple of people. So when we get a chance, we try to dispel that rumor that we're building the roundabout all the way up to Pine Forest Charter School. So one of the big coordination efforts with these schools, and roundabouts are tough to build. They're complicated to build, and they're tough to build under live traffic because it's hard to move traffic over to one side, because then they can only circulate one way. So they take a long time to build, but one of the alternatives to multiple phases moving around is to close the intersection. And with this project, we're going to close the intersection next week, right after schools are out. So we've been coordinating with the schools, and there's been a lot of public notifications. So hopefully everyone is aware that this is going to happen. But we're going to close right after school's out next week, and the intersection will be closed all the way up until just prior to school opening. And the plan is that the roundabout will be, we'll say done. It'll be functional. We'll have cars circulating, we'll have pedestrians circulating. I'm sure there will still be some cleanup work, but the intersection will be back open. So that's actually very accelerated if you think about May to August for a typical construction project. So that's a really cool element. For those that kind of live and work in this side of town, currently Linda Vista is closed, but that will be open prior to this closure. So Linda Vista has been closed. We'll open that and almost immediately close this intersection. Also, Cedar Avenue will be closed for more spruce wash work during this same time frame. So the contractor for spruce wash is taking advantage of this closure and going to be closing Cedar Avenue a couple blocks to the west of this closure. So a lot of disruption in this area through the summer, but again, it'll be open come August. So a pretty cool project. We've got some education pieces we're working with Metro Plan and the school district on to make sure kids know how to use the roundabout. We don't have all of those details figured out yet. We have a little bit of time, but I anticipate when first couple of days of school, there'll be a bunch of us out there helping people get through and understand how to use the roundabout on their way to and from school. So long time coming again, but this will be a couple of months. This thing will be open and running. Any questions about the roundabout? All right, let's see what's next. Back to you, Trevor.
Oh, nice, awesome. All right, so this is the Butler Avenue Complete Street project. So essentially, the limits are from Milton down to the very eastern edge of the Sawmill area, the complex there, and Butler Avenue, both sides, north and south. And what we're going to do here, so if you remember when we did the separated bike lane, so this is on Butler Avenue, we put those curb bumpers along the north and south edges and we put up some candlesticks, and that kind of gave a little bit of a separated area for bicyclists, but also keeping vehicles on the 2 lanes, but keeping them separated. So that was phase 1. And again, that project was a pilot program. And again, that's basically to just explore, kind of work through the details, see if something can work there. And obviously, when we did that, there was some concerns, there's snow removal concerns, but eventually we came up with a new design element. So now this project will take that newer design element and it's going to elevate the bike lanes. So basically the bike lanes become kind of like a sidewalk, and then there will be a parkway, and there'll also be a pedestrian path, the actual sidewalk. So the bike lanes and the parkway and then the sidewalk will all be shared, kind of elevated off the road. And that's the separated part of the bike lanes. And that'll go on both sides, north and south, from Milton all the way down to the project limits that we're seeing on the screen there. What we're also going to have is protected intersections. So at Beaver and Butler, San Francisco and Butler, and Sawmill and Butler, we will have protected intersections. Will look very much like what you see on the bottom, those intersection drawings there. So basically what a protected intersection is it takes the bicycle paths, the lanes, and then kind of separates them from the travel lanes. And it gives them a little bit of a bumper, a little bit of an edge, a curb rise ramp, which then just basically keeps the vehicles away from the pedestrians and the bicyclists. So, and it'll happen on all 4 corners. So that helps with keeping them protected at these intersections. We're also going to have enhanced crossings. So if you remember there at Humphreys and Butler, there is a push button solar powered flashing light. So we're going to upgrade that. We're going to take away the solar, make it hardwire. We're going to do some more improvements to the crossing, to the beacons there. And we're also going to put another crossing there at Lone Tree and Butler. And that'll actually get people who are want to get from the south side to the north side. They'll be able to access a push button. Also in the middle, do a push button, and on the other side, be able to make the crossing safely. So I do see a hand raised, so I'll go ahead and stop. And yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Commissioner Riesenberg. This is fabulous. I just have a question on the raised bikeways, walkways. Where else has that been done, and what kind of studies have been done on that kind of an improvement?
So that's a new concept that's been in place. So if you go back and remember what the Butler 4th project looked like, the slides, essentially that's what it's going to look like. I don't recall offhand where we've done that already. So there, kind of see how the elevated bike lanes, it's kind of at the sidewalk level. So it's separated, it's elevated and separated from the vehicles. I don't recall where we've done that currently, but maybe Jeff, if you don't mind speaking on some of the statistics and studies.
I'm gonna let Martin take this one. This is gonna be right in Martin's. That's why Martin's here.
His wheelhouse.
Yes, this is his wheelhouse. Talk about separated bikeways. You good with that, Martin?
Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome.
Hi, Chair Kidd, members of the commission. My name is Martin Ince. I'm the multimodal transportation planner for the city. And probably over the last 5 or 10 years in a number of communities across the country, a number of different styles of bike lanes have been built, generally under the name protected bike lanes, but they take different configurations. The idea generally is to provide some level of physical protection between vehicle lanes and where bikes operate, and pedestrians as well. Uh, After a bunch of discussion at the city's bicycle advisory committee and pedestrian advisory committee, we kind of settled on this configuration, in part because it gives us 11 feet of concrete that is relatively easy for the city to maintain, like to keep clear of snow, for example, and still provide that level of protection in terms of both that 5-foot parkway and the fact that it's above the curb. In other cities, they sometimes they'll put a curb in the middle of the street to separate vehicle lanes from bike lanes. Sometimes there are vertical delineators called candlesticks that will do the same thing. There are a handful of different ways that the protection is accomplished. I mentioned that this is over the last 5 or 10 years. There just very recently have been some safety studies coming in. And in fact, there's enough positive feedback from experience in other communities that there's actually what's called a crash reduction factor for protected bike lanes related to protected bike lanes. So in other words, a predictive factor of how many crashes are reduced by installation of protected bike lanes over more conventional in-street bike lanes. So this is brand new territory for the city. Trevor mentioned we had the pilot project. These are not inexpensive construction projects. So we look for opportunities like the construction of Butler Avenue, which is essentially building the street from scratch. So there's an opportunity for us to add protected bike lanes. Butler Avenue here through the south side is only made possible through the $12 million grant that we got from the federal government. Otherwise, it's $12 million is harder for the city to come up with for improvements like that, but with the grant we can do it. We have a number of other locations identified, but generally, again, it's when streets are being constructed from new or substantially reconstructed. One other place that you'll see them soon is Trevor showed you the slides of the Beulah University roundabout, and the bike lanes leading up to that roundabout are protected, aka moved off of the lane of travel, separated from vehicle lanes. Does that help?
That's great. Thank you so much.
All right, Jeff, if you can go back to Butler. There you go. Martin already talked about our budget, and we do have it at 12 million, and this project is completely grant funded. So we have a Safe Streets for All grant of 9.6 million, and then we have an AZ Smart Fund grant of 2.4 million. So this project is completely funded by grant funding, and it takes a little bit of that pressure off of Proposition 419. So some of that money that was designated for this through Prop 419 can possibly go to other areas or be used in other projects to help with the pedestrian and bicyclist items. Our schedule is we're hoping to get a designer on board by July 1st of this year, maybe a little later, maybe August of this year, and then just continue with the design, and then hopefully have some construction elements going possibly a year from now. What we did do is we had this 15% feasibility study that we've completed about a year ago, and that study kind of helped supported everything that we were just talking about. And it helps the project get a little kind of a jump start on what the design might be. So we're not anticipating a very difficult design, but it should go relatively quick. And then we can just jump right into construction and make sure we get this completed. So again, design possibly the rest of this year, a little bit into next year, and then construction again in 2026 and construction in 2027. So one of the things I also wanted to mention is the Lone Tree Overpass project is also going in currently. And so on Lone Tree, there's also some work there on Butler. Yep, perfect. There you go. So we're coordinating with this project just to make sure that everything, one project doesn't put in some improvements and the next project comes later and tears it out. That's not really beneficial for the city, not a good cost savings. So we're just making sure everything is working well. One project does enough, the other project kind of fills in and makes sure that all the improvements are correct. So I think I'll end there. And Jeff, I think you're taking this one.
This one's one of mine. We have
All
two
right.
left. I know we may be going a little long on you. I'm not quite sure how much time you allocated for us, but this one and one more. So Trevor kicked this off, Lone Tree Overpass. This one is Lone Tree Overpass and corridor improvements. So again, 419, and then this was 420. There was two ballot questions. 420 was the overpass, which is kind of Butler Avenue up to Route 66. And then 419 was the corridor of Lone Tree improvements, curb gutter, sidewalks, 2 lanes to 4 lanes, landscape median. And that's from Butler all the way down to John Wesley Powell Boulevard. And you'll remember this tax program runs out to 2040. So right now we're just working on the red piece, which you can see under construction today if you go out on Lone Tree. And when we get done with this phase, we'll have a new intersection at Lone Tree and Butler that ties into those separated bikeways and protected intersections project that Trevor and Martin were just talking about. A similar concept for the Franklin intersection. It'll be rebuilt with the protected bike lane style, and Sawmill will actually have a traffic signal when we finish this project today. Just a stop sign on Sawmill, but it will be a traffic signal in the future. Again, the road is widened to 2 lanes in each direction, the landscape median, and it'll have those 11-foot separated bike, pedestrian walkways on both sides of the street. Under construction today, this piece, I believe will wrap up next year, but you can see construction is 25 through 28. So this is a really long project duration. We should see next year or late this fall some work north of Butler Avenue. Took us a while to get that complicated bridge designed, and there was some Councilmember House knows all about some complicated property negotiations that took us a while to get straightened out, but we are straightened out now. So again, we'll see that as the next phase getting started. But driving across the whole corridor is still 3 years or so away for a complete shiny new road. Looking at my bullet points, I hit all the bullet points. So that's that. Oh, we have a really cool image on the next slide. So this is, kind of a future drone image. You can see Route 66 over on the right-hand side. I didn't mention, but we're connecting kind of at the top of the hill. So real close to where the spa dealer is, the hot tub dealer. That's roughly where the new intersection will be at the top of the hill. So between downtown and Fry's, kind of the top of the hill. Next time you're over there, you'll kind of see where that's going to be. And this is just a picture of the bridge going up and over the railroad tracks, up and over the future Rio to Flag realignment. Here's this pathway that we've heard about and some civic space down here. Nice bridge structure dropping down at grade to Butler Avenue. Big, complicated project. And I don't see any hands, so I'm going to bump to the next one, which is a Martin project.
Thanks, Jeff. So this is a project to repair a series of asphalt foot trails in the city. The city manages about 59 miles of foot trails total. Of that 59 miles, 11-ish miles are constructed of asphalt, and for a variety of reasons, not least of which is the winters that we have in the freeze-thaw cycle, a number of the older asphalt trails have deteriorated. And in some cases, they have deteriorated fairly significantly. So over the past couple of years, we've been putting some money aside to go to repair those trails. And more recently, it's become kind of apparent to us that we have to accelerate that process, that a number of the trails need to be fixed like now. We can't wait for the future. So we kind of rearranged our budget, reached out to the council for final approval, and got money to do 8 miles of trail repair or replacement in one budget cycle. We've been working on inventorying what we need to do, where the trails are, what kind of treatment is necessary. The Capital Trevor's group in capital programming has been working on getting a contractor on board. Just last night at City Council, the contract was approved. So I'm not sure exactly when that is scheduled to start. Trevor, maybe you can jump in on that. But sometime over the course of the summer, we'll start rebuilding these trails. Anything that's shown in yellow on this map is a complete rebuild. So we'll demolish, take out the old trail, and pour a new one. I mentioned that our winters in the freeze-thaw cycle are kind of tough on trails. We're trying to combat that in 2 ways to make these new trails last a little bit longer. One is that we're using an asphalt mix that is specific to trails. So the asphalt that we use on roadways can have different characteristics than the asphalt that works best on trails. In the past, we generally use just one kind of asphalt. So if we use an asphalt designed specifically for trails, we think it will last longer. Second thing is we are building in regular ongoing maintenance as part of this project. It will occur in 5-year increments. So after a few years, we will refresh the oil on the surface of the asphalt, repair any cracks in an effort to help make the trails, the new trails, last longer than the old trails did. The other colors on this map are also asphalt trails, but they're receiving a different kind of treatment. They may not be in as bad a shape, so we may be able to repair the cracks and overlay them as the treatment option. So hopefully all that will happen this summer. I asked Trevor to weigh in on the schedule, then I just kept talking. So maybe Trevor, you can do that now if possible.
Nice. Yeah, I can do that real quick. So it was approved last night at City Council. So the contractor has been notified. We're working to get the purchase order approved, which pays the contractor. And then we're hoping to maybe get the contractor out there next week or the week after, start mobilizing and start getting on some of these projects. I think one thing to highlight is on the very top of that picture, that map, is a section from Valley Crest down to Seacrest School. And that's one that we are going to target and try to get that done while school is out. So the contractor is aware, and that's one of the bigger ones that we want to work on first. So they might do a lot of work out there. And then the other ones, not necessarily critical, but for school-wise, so they can be done maybe after school's back in session. But hopefully get that going in the next couple of weeks, get some activity going, get a construction have the construction started and the contractor out there working. Yeah, I think
Thank you.
Concludes our presentation. Sorry it took so long.
No, thank you. It's lots of information, and it's good for me too, because all those places that you have construction going on, I frequent those places, those roads every day. It's on my way to work, on my way to everything. So, sometimes you're driving like, what's going on here? So this is really, really helpful. Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions, comments? Kudos?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Thank you for your patience, commissioners. We can go ahead now to the next item, which is a citywide anti-bullying policy. I think you were sent that draft. Actually, it's actually the policy. Yep.
Yes. So,
Go ahead.
and this is kind of it's not so much of a presentation, but my item here. So I think we mentioned this maybe sometime last year
We did.
with the annual municipal equality index that we submit to from the Human Rights Campaign. This is one of the items that we identified about a year or two ago that the city of Flagstaff has not gotten points for in the past, that we thought was kind of low-laying fruit, and or low-hanging fruit, I guess, not laying. And we saw an opportunity as well to do a little bit more than what is required of in the Municipal Equality Index. It kind of was one of the cases where the scorecard that we use just to evaluate our own city services showed us something that we could do a little bit better. And so our goal has been to go beyond what they want, which is just for youth programs, and to look at how we can ensure the safety of anyone participating in a program citywide. So I kind of took on this project. I had some meetings with our library staff, with our park staff, just because they have a lot more of the programs that interact with the public that the city sponsors than most other divisions do. And they both agreed that they would love some kind of unified policy for the city. They just wanted something that was consistent and that would give it a little bit of teeth that they could use. So the challenge of this was that it was not a policy that there's really models for around anywhere else. There are other cities, will have policies, but they usually pertain to a certain program, and their language varies quite a lot. So as I was building this policy out or writing this draft policy with their help, I did use a model of the Flagstaff Unified School District, as well as NAU. They both had a lot of content, and there were some template kind of policies that were also geared towards school districts. But they had a lot of the right sections, and it gave us a pretty good idea of what should be in there. So the idea essentially behind this policy, if you read it, that's great. It's about 3 pages, single spaced. That it has a definition for harassment, a definition for sexual harassment, bullying, discrimination, and what's the last one we had in there? It was, let's see, discrimination, harassment, sexual harassment, bullying, and retaliation. So it talks about each of those and lists the kind of prohibited conduct that we don't want to see in any of our programs. And it doesn't at any point make any reference to age. So it absolutely would still apply to things like swim lessons or youth sport leagues, that kind of thing. But it would also apply to other programming that's run, because we know that these kind of things aren't, even though they may occur more often with youth, that doesn't mean that's the only place where we see that kind of behavior. And one thing the staff told me that they really want is an enforcement mechanism, something that defines what happens if any of these policies are broken. So I included this item here on consequences, which is essentially just says that if harassment or bullying or any of those things happens in a program more than once, like if you do it and you're asked to stop, then you can be kicked out of the program for that day. Or if it is so severe on the first attempt that it completely disrupts the program, then you can be asked. And that's pretty broad. And the idea is that it gives the staff person overseeing that program the ability to act if they feel the need to. And then if for any kind of stuff, anything that we feel could be repeat behavior and compromise future programs, it allows the division director that the program is from, so that's the library director or the parks director or whatnot, to bar an individual from future programs. But it doesn't allow the low-level staff to do that. It has to go, through a process, and that director would have to make the call. It also addresses confidentiality and training to make sure that staff is aware of the requirements under this, and talk. So that's kind of where we're at. It's an idea that we've been kind of simmering on for a while. We looked around. There aren't a lot of other really good examples from other communities or organizations to go off of. So we kind of are just doing the best that we can to come up with something here. And one of the steps about that is because it's coming about in this way, we want to run it by all of you to see if you have any thoughts or any experience with this. We did look for one from Northern Arizona Healthcare, which I think was recommended last time this came to the commission. We didn't find one. We reached out to them as well. They didn't have one that really went along the limits of what we're looking at here for the programs and everything. You know, they have codes of conduct for how you behave in their facilities and whatnot. But this is kind of a unique space we're in here. So the next step would be, if you like what you see, or if you want to see some small changes or whatnot, would be to go to the city manager's office and attempt to have this implemented just as a directive from the city manager. It would not need to go to council, because all of the programs that are conducted by staff filter through the city manager, so he could actually just implement this policy kind of as a staff directive. And we're confident that would be enough, both to ensure the safety of the participants of the program and staff of the programs as well, or any public that are around, as well as satisfying the requirements that the Human Rights Campaign would look for in a scorecard. And that's not the reason we're doing it necessarily. We want to make sure we cover all the folks that need covering by this program, but that's where it came about. So we want to get those points while we're doing the program, doing this kind of project. So with that, I am happy to take any questions you have on it. I can pull it up. I said it's kind of 3 pages, so I'm not sure exactly where to set the screen on it, but if you have a question with a certain section, I'll pull it up and we can look at that, or comments or suggestions. Anything is welcome.
First of all, I want to commend whoever came up with this. I really want to commend, and then I also want to say it's a shame that we don't have something like this protecting people, right? And it's just like people assume we have things like this, and we don't. And so it's alarming that we don't have something to protect persons. But again, thanks so much for bringing this to forefront. And yeah, I read it, and I looked at other cities and other countries that have it, and I think this is, to me, it's a good start. And I'll leave the floor open to any other commissioners if they do have any suggestions or changes or comment.
I could also
Oh.
try to get this on the agenda for other commissions as well, like our Library Commission or our Parks and Recreation Commission, see if they have any thoughts about it as well. But this started
Yeah.
here, so I wanted to start here.
Yes, it's good. And I do, there were some notes that I did, there's some comments that I did have, and I will just go ahead and email it to you too. It's very small. It's just like what other
Okay.
people were looking at in other cities and other countries too, because I always like that holistic thing. But this is a really good start, and I really, really thank you. This is good work. I see Councilwoman House has a hand up. Yay.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chris, I just wanted to add my thanks to you for taking this on and doing this work. I know it's been a long process and a lot of research and time invested into putting all of this together. So it is very greatly appreciated that you did that, and especially with the spirit in which you undertook this work, making sure that it was more than just checking a box or anything like that, but actually just working to make it truly meaningful and supportive to the communities that need it, and all of those things, I think, is really impactful. So just very grateful for that work.
Agreed. And I really, really enjoy the consequences. Not that I enjoy consequences, but I do think they're important to have.
Yeah, it's time for some consequences here, right?
Exactly. I think that it you could have gone the route where these policies in place, but nothing happens if you break them. And I just love the thoughtfulness that's included in these consequences, because I think it is, created a lot of discretion and flexibility where not every situation has to be treated the same. And I think that's really great. And yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for your work on that.
Good job. This is what makes me really proud to be a part of this commission. this kind of work. Thank you. All right, so I know we are probably going behind time now. So, Chris, what else do you need from us with this concern? I do have some email. I have an email that I can send with some of my thoughts.
Yeah, that's
What
great.
else do you need from us?
Really what I'm looking for is to see whether the commission, likes the work and wants to see it move forward. When it sounds like
Yes.
you do. And then I wanted to get the opportunity to hear suggestions you have about the content, or if you would like me to go ahead to a certain process. My route probably will be to go back to those two divisions I've been working with, which are pros and the library. I'll talk to the staff that has actually previously been in charge of forcing these kind of things, and then I'll probably go up to the division level. And if we get the sign off from them, I'll look to take this to our city manager's office, hopefully with their support as well.
Good job. Thank you. You have 100% from me. Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, and I will keep you apprised of this as it moves forward.
Thank you. Okay, so item C, discussion on quota involvement surrounding Pride and Juneteenth.
Yes, so this one, just wanted to agendize because I know the discussion probably needs to happen, and don't know how long it needs to go for. Probably not that long, but this gives us a chance to discuss everything nice and early on it. So I have arranged for us to be with a float in the Pride Parade next month. So that has been submitted, and we're all set for that. It's in the past where they've asked us to show up a little bit early, and we decorate and all that kind of stuff, and then we walk with the banner. It's not too much work. It's usually pretty fun, lighthearted day actually. So, but we also we have some other events that are happening over the next month that will happen before we meet again in June. And I think it's just nice to talk about what they all are and what kind of presence we would like to have at them, or if we want to try to reach out to organizers to see if there's more that we can do for them. I was hoping that Kengeda Callan would be able to be here today as well. I don't see him with us today, but we don't need everyone to attend everything or anything, but figured it would just be nice if we could organize, all that kind of thing. So different events happening before our next meeting. And I can pull up an agenda maybe or dates and everything, so we have all of that as well.
Yes, if you could send us the dates, because I remember the last time both Pride and Juneteenth celebrations fell on the same day, and I had to split my life in two, and it really wasn't helpful. So, and I
Exactly, yeah.
understand now that it's going to be on different days. So, if we can get those dates, please. And I know Juneteenth celebration is over a weekend. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I really want to be in all of it. So, go ahead,
Yes. So
Councilwoman House. I did see your hand up.
sorry. Go ahead. If there's
Sorry,
a hand up.
go
Sorry, I
ahead.
was looking at a different window.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Oh, Chris, you can go ahead if you were, what were you?
I'm just pulling up calendars. So
Okay. So I have the calendar for the Southside and Coconino County African Diaspora Advisory Council Juneteenth celebration. That is the week of June 11th through Father's Day, which I think is the 15th.
15th. So 11th to the 15th, and the 11th is a Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Wednesday to
So-
Saturday. Okay.
Yeah, so there is a free Power of Connection community workshop on Wednesday, the 11th at 5 p.m. And then on Thursday at 10 a.m. on the 12th is a Green Book tour and symposium. That is also free, I believe, but both of those events may have some availability limitations for how many seats are available or people are available to go on that tour. I want to say it might be 25 or 30 is the current limit. Then Friday, June 13th at 6 p.m. is the a Juneteenth gala at Little America, and that is a ticketed event. I believe tickets are $75. And then Saturday, the 14th, is the Juneteenth Festival at Murdoch from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., I believe. And then Sunday is a Father's Day cookout with hot dogs and hamburgers as a free event to celebrate Father's Day. I know Pride is the following weekend on Saturday, the 21st. And I know they are also partnering with the Live Black Experience Project out of the Sunnyside Community Association for that group's Juneteenth celebration, which I don't have in front of me what all the events are that are part of that, but I know two parts of it are a celebration, I believe, in Heritage Square, and then there's going to be a Juneteenth marketplace at Pride in the Pines.
All right. That's a lot of information there, but I am sure there'll be a flyer somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I see Commissioner
Commissioner
Darling's hand is
Darling.
up. She might be able to give more info on the Pride part.
Thank you so much. I do have a little more information on the Pride event. Sorry. Unexpected. Okay. Apologies. So Flagstaff Pride in the Pines, we will be hosting a locals pool party with the Americana Hotel the Sunday before June 21st. I guess I could look at the calendar. So
Would that be Sunday the 15th?
Thank you. So we sorry, a little too many things happening today. We Friday before the Pride Festival, we are finalizing a stargazing event with Flagstaff Stargazing Adventures at Buffalo Park. So part of our community education series, it's open. Instead of our family movie night, we wanted to offer this opportunity to represent our dark sky history and do a stargazing event because it was very cute and fun. Saturday morning, we have invited the Live Black Experience Juneteenth to participate in our parade. So we'll be a Pride Parade and a Juneteenth Parade. We have some events going on throughout the day as part of Pride, including Coral Evans functioning as our MC, and Council Member House will be our Grand Marshal. The festival as well, we're very excited. This will be the first festival of its kind to host two female Indigenous pop performers as our headliners. Then on Sunday, we will have Heritage Square still, and we will be hosting a Juneteenth market. And that should be about it for June. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. And what I will say is any flyers or any sorts of information and links and stuff, if you could please send it to Chris so he will get it out to us and then we will just blast it out in our distribution list. And we want to be a part of it too. So Chris, put me down for the parade, whichever parade I'm going to.
Okay.
Put me down for both. Put me down for both because I had to divide my time the last time too. So put me down for both parades. I'll go on both. I love parades.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking that we should probably organize all as a group here so that we're not just saying I'll be here, I'll be there, I'll be here, but maybe try to make a dedicated group effort maybe at one event for each celebration. So I think that the Pride Parade works pretty well for Pride if we're going to march in that. My thought at least, and then picking one of the events for Juneteenth possibly that we want to be present for would probably be my recommendation, just as the liaison. But of course, everyone here is also their own individual and they can do whatever they would like. But yeah, that would be my recommendation, I think, as the staff.
And I guess once we get the dates down, written somewhere, probably on a flyer, then we can make that decision. But what I was saying, personally, I'll be at all of them. So I just jump into whatever group we have. That's me, sorry. Okay.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think if we were to choose an event from Juneteenth, the list from the celebrations to attend as CODA, and I do think it could be beneficial to do this conversation via email, just because we do have 2 commission members that are not at this meeting right now.
Okay. I'm amenable to that if you all would like.
Yes, please, if you could send it to us, so then we could, have that. All right, so we're done with this item. Any updates from the working groups?
Yeah, I can kick us off. Let me just make sure my camera's on here. So I can kick us off. I am working with the library working group. And so it was awesome because we had a meeting last month, which was our first meeting of the year. We had not been able to meet. And so it was lovely to be able to connect with everybody and have them all in the same room. Commissioner Riesenberg was there, as was Jean Toner as a community member. And then we did have a chance to chat with Amelia, who did join our call last month to introduce themselves. So we talked a little bit about, their work, and we had introductions, and then we jumped right into the good stuff. So first up was Drag Story Hour, which was something that we had discussed and were wanting to support with. Amelia did name that, again, the library cannot host this, but we can rent their program room and have the event through an external party. So I took that information and emailed it to a Pride Commission member, and sent out, or a Pride board member, and sent out, the links and what all would need to be done in order to host that event. And I CC'd Amelia on that. Did I hear a voice? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm not talking over anybody. If there was a question about that, or okay.
No, I didn't hear anything. It's probably just your mind thinking out loud. I didn't hear anything.
Be, I'm probably echoing in here. Okay, so that was Drag Story time, or Drag Story Hour. Then we had supporting multilingual story time, which was something that we had also talked about wanting to host. So one thing that did come up is the library does have a policy that only employees can read the stories for story time, and this was due to some of the training. It's an educational experience. They're meant to be modeling like how to read stories to the kids for the parents. And so the solution that we came up with was we could have a volunteer translating the story, which could have a lot of benefits, in terms of exposure to more than one language at a time. Unfortunately, the library doesn't currently have like a roster of translators. So our game plan right now is for me to volunteer to do the Spanish reading story time, kind of pilot that, see how that goes. And we also talked about some other ways that we could obtain volunteers, thinking about CCC's language program and use language program, potentially having this happen for high school students, as there are story times during the week and on Saturdays. We are holding, while Amelia talks to the library director to find out what we need, and then obtaining some language so that CODA can start kind of outreaching and seeing if anybody else wants to be involved in this multilingual story time. The last piece was the oral history project. So this one is just a smidge bottleneck because the bulk of the work was meant to be done by a library employee who was also working on their degree at NAU, and so this was going to be their capstone project. But because of the delays, that person is currently graduating, and so we won't be able to have them. So there's a little bit of background stuff to iron out on that front. While the Arizona Memory Project is housing it, they're technically not an archive. So the library is working with NAU to try to see if Klein might be interested in helping us get some of this stuff sorted. Pride, so there was a bit of a miscommunication, and the library will not be tabling at Pride this year. And so we're trying to figure out if they can still get in, and this was a few weeks ago, and they're gonna kind of let me know what's going on there. But as of right now, they are not currently going to be tabling at Pride. Yeah, so that was a lot, I know, across all the projects that we're working on over there. I'm happy to answer any questions or anything else that we might need in terms of the library CODA working group.
Oh no, that was so sad that they're not going to be a part of Pride. Bummer.
It was so much fun last year,
All
and I feel
right,
like
it was. Yeah. All right, thank you so much. Any other working groups? Commissioner Darling, anything from you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Commissioner Kidd. We are moving slowly. We are meeting once a month now. We did a handful of meetings every other week, and we're slowing it down to allow ourselves to build up some more data and resources. As of now, we have a survey that one of our members is working on, collecting information from community members, just getting some feedback about what people would like to see as far as an asphalt art project with the Rainbow Crosswalk, knowing that we might be creative on whether or not this is a crosswalk or an art project.
Right.
We also are working, we've recently dug a little further into the asphalt art project that happened with out near Fala. And so we're looking into connecting with the groups that were part of that, including the Metro Plan, the Creative Flagstaff, and just trying to build up our resources so we have a really good understanding. So we have a nice small group, and things are moving slowly, but we are definitely learning. So it's exciting. Councilmember House.
House, yep.
Yeah, I just had a question. I forget the name of it, but I just saw a really fun ad for it's like some sort of stamping that you do on concrete or asphalt that is revealed by rain. And I'm wondering if that would be a creative option for not like to replace the rainbow crosswalk idea, but just as another cool art thing that would be done or that could be done. I couldn't see the same roadblocks in the way, no pun intended. But for a project like that, because it's not colored, it's just you basically put the stamp down with some sort of special, I don't know if it's paint or what it is, but then whenever you put water on it or if it rains, that's when the art is revealed. That seems like it could be really cool for something like outside of a library or somewhere downtown, or anywhere in town to have some sort of cool themed art that that shares a good message or provides a unifying message, especially with our hopeful monsoon seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be really grateful if you would share that information. I don't know if that's the perfect fit for us, but so much of what we're finding feeds into a much grander idea of what asphalt art can mean to a community. And so there's room for so much to be part of this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and research on that too with the asphalt stamping because that seems like it's a great idea. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Darling. All right, updates from Council Liaison.
Sorry, I just minimized to pull up my web browser. Is that me or is that
Yes,
you,
it is
Chris?
you.
Okay.
You first and then Chris.
I don't have anything outside of just thanks to the commission for the past several proclamations that you've done or been part of. Whenever any of you shows up for the council meeting, it means a great deal to I'll speak on behalf of the full council and say that it means a great deal to us, but also it means a great deal to me just to have any of you there if you're available. And I understand Tuesdays at 3 o'clock is not the easiest time for anybody to step away. So if you're not able to make it, that's totally understood. You're there in spirit, but I always try and give credit where credit is due for the work that you all have put into those. So just thank you for that continued work. And I know that we're going to have ongoing conversations at the city level about participation in different sorts of programming around diversity awareness and celebration. So if there are events or things that are coming up in the community that you feel that we need to be aware of as council or that you like to be shared during our reports out on or during the council meetings, at each of those we have a portion of the meeting at the end where council shares information to and from council members to the rest of council and to whoever's there in the public. So if there are things that you'd ever like me to share that are coming up in any of your groups, please just let me know and I'm happy to share those and support them if I'm able. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilwoman House. All right, updates from staff liaison. Chris, you're on.
All right, thank you. I don't have much of an update, but something that Councilwoman House just said reminded me of something I should ask briefly about, and that is about these next two proclamations for June. Who we have at present at council to accept these. I would recommend that we reach out to the Southside Community Association for Juneteenth and the Flag Pride for Pride Month. Is that kind of, I guess, is that okay with the commission if I reach out to members of those groups to see if they can be present? That way we can sort of represent our community groups in front of council for these purposes.
Yeah, I think we also have the LBE, Live Black Experience. Also, we had reached out to, I think, 3. So in the past, I think we did Southside Association, LBE or Sunnyside Association, and also ADAC, which is African Diaspora Advisory Council. Ooh, I just got a block there. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. I just wanted to make sure that that's okay with all of you before I move forward with it.
Anybody else wants to add? Because you may know something that I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks. Sorry, I can't type today. We also have the Flagstaff Queer Collective, Trans Intimate, and there's been a bit of a LGBTQ plus coalition coalescing. And so it might be nice to share as some of those members have been participating in activities such as our Rainbow Crosswalk.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
And if we have the contact information too, if we can go ahead and email it to Chris, it will definitely help.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, great. All right, is that all for you, Chris? Staff liaison?
That's all from my update today. Yes, I may
All
have more in the
right.
future, but not today.
Okay, so number 9, agenda for future meetings.
We
And
don't
if
have much on our future
Yeah.
agenda. I think I shared the what is
Yeah, you
it, the
shared it with
parking
us.
lot as
Yep, you
well.
did. Mhm.
There's nothing that's kind of pending at this moment. We're kind of moving through things. So if anybody has anything they would like me to look into for next month, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, it could be a quick meeting.
Yeah, and we can email it too as things comes up. We
Yeah,
can also
absolutely.
email it too, just for time. Great. And number 10, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn our meeting today?
Commissioner Sanchez here. I motion for us to adjourn.
All right, we'd like to adjourn, and I will second it. Adjourning our meeting at 3:14 p.m. on 5/21. Thank you so much, everybody. Everybody have a good time.
Thank you, and thank you for the
Yay, and
time
be
statements. That
safe.
will help me in the minutes as well.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
Take care,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.